Hello, everyone. Welcome to the final chapter of Percy Jackson, the Lightning Thief. Chapter 22, The Prophecy Comes True. So, I'm just going to go back and read the prophecy to you. And this was from chapter 9, I believe. I am offered a quest. So the prophecy was from the oracle, "You shall go west and face the God who has turned. You shall find what was stolen and see it safely returned. You will be betrayed by one who calls you a friend, and you shall fail to save what matters most in the end." So keep that in mind as we go through this summary. So when Percy gets back and Grover and Annabeth, they have a huge celebration, and there was some good news too. Grover got a searcher's license, so he is happy because now he can go search and he's fully certified. The Ares cabin, it looks very, very angry at Percy, especially Clarice, but you could figure out that why that is the case. And then we find a little bit about Sally, Percy's mom. She's telling Percy that Gabe left mysteriously. Interesting. She reported it to the police, but she's pretty sure they will not find him. So Gabe is gone, and he won't be found. So let me just read a section here. And I removed my bookmark, unfortunately. So, on a completely unrelated subject, she sold her first life-size concrete sculpture entitled "The Poker Player" to a collector through an art gallery in Soho. She'd gotten so much money for it, she'd put a deposit down on a new apartment and made a payment on her first semester's tuition at NYU, that's New York University. The Soho Gallery was clamoring for more of her work, which they called a huge step forward in the super ugly neo-realism. "But don't worry," my mom wrote. "I'm done with the sculpture. I've disposed of that box of tools you left me. It's time for me to turn to writing." At the bottom she wrote, "P.S. Percy, I found a good private school here in the city. I put a deposit down to hold you a spot in case you want to enroll for 7th grade. You could live at home, but if you want to go all year round at Camp Half-Blood, I'll understand." I folded the note carefully and set it on my bedside table. Every night before I went to sleep, I read it again, and I tried to decide how to answer her. So if you haven't figured out, Gabe was the statue. She took Medusa's head, used it to petrify Gabe, and made a lot of money selling her statue. So we're given dates in this chapter to just kind of get us feeling what the time period is. So right now it's July 4th. That's the Americans' Independence Day, like our Canada Day. So they have huge, huge, huge celebrations. And then we find that Grover is off to look for Pan. So he's using his searcher's license to go on a quest, if you will. And now July has passed. So the month is moving very quickly. But at the same time, Percy is still wondering about the prophecy. It hasn't been completely fulfilled. Now, if you want to go back to the prophecy, he did go west to face the god that turned, and that turned out not to be Hades, but to be Ares. And he returned his the Master Bolt, which was another part of the quest. He failed to save what was the most important, which was his mom, but in the end, she did get returned. But now he's thinking, well, hold on, the friend that turned. Now, who could that possibly be? So it was the last night of summer session, and the yearly bead was a design, was black. So the little necklace they have, the little bead, was all black with a sea green trident. So in recognition of Percy's successful quest, he gets that special bead on the necklace. The next day, he got a form letter about the next year. The only reason I want to read it to you is because it is funny how Mr. D did it. So it was, Dear Peter Johnson, if you intend to stay at Camp Half-Blood year-round, you must inform the big house by noon today. If you do not announce your intentions, it will assume you have vacated your cabin or died a horrible death. Cleaning harpies will begin work at sundown. They will be authorized to eat any unregistered campers. All personal articles left behind will be incinerated in the lava pit. Have a nice day, Mr. D. Dionysus, Camp Director, Olympian Council, number 12. So he still doesn't have Percy's name right. So Percy's still thinking. He goes to the arena, to do some, probably working out a bit with his sword and that, and to think, what should he do? And then Luke comes to practice, and he just shows up. Oh, hi, Percy. He's doing stuff, but Percy notices he has a new sword, and he calls it Backbiter. And Backbiter has celestial bronze and tempered steel. And the tempered steel works on mortals, while the bronze, immortal. So this can kill anyone, which seems quite strange for Percy. So they talk a bit, and then Luke goes, hey, how about we go into the woods and fight, or talk, do something else. So Percy does feel a little nervous about this. It seems to be a strange request, so he does not really want to go, but in the end he relents. Luke takes out a 6-pack of Coke, and Percy found that really strange. Not that it was Coke, but you can't buy that stuff at Camp Half-Blood. So how did Luke get it? And after Luke finishes his can, he just throws it into the creek. And that's another big no-no. You don't litter. And then Luke starts sharing about his quest, and he's upset at it. Like, it was a quest that was done before. Hercules did it. It was to steal, the golden fleece, I think. And he's just disappointed. And so Luke is like, okay, goodbye, Percy. Nice having you for the year. And then he summons a pit scorpion, which will kill you. Once it stings you, you're dead in 60 seconds. So now the prophecies come true. Luke is the friend that has turned. And if we follow the whole trail along the way, Luke gave the winged shoes. Luke asked if Percy's wearing the shoes. He basically set this all up. And then he explains a little bit how it was going on. You're as crazy as Ares. His eyes flared. Ares is a fool. He never realized the true master he was serving. If I had time, Percy, I could explain, but I'm afraid you won't live that long. The scorpion crawled onto my pants leg. There had to be a way out of this. I needed time to think. Kronos, I said, that's who you serve? The air got colder. You should be careful with names, Luke warned. Kronos got you to steal the Master Bolt and the helm. He spoke to you in your dreams. Luke's eyes twitched. He spoke to you too, Percy. You should have listened. He's brainwashing you, Luke. You're wrong. He showed me that my talents are being wasted. You know that what my quest was years ago, Percy? My father Hermes wanted me to steal the golden apple from the garden of the Hesperides and return it to the Olympus. So not the golden fleece, the golden apple. After all the training I'd done, that was the best he could think of. So he's still really, really, really upset at that. So I began to dream of Kronos. He convinced me to steal something worthwhile, something no hero had ever had the courage to take. When he went on that winter solstice field trip, while the other campers were asleep, I snuck into the throne room and took Zeus's master bolt right from his chair. Hades' helm of darkness, too. You wouldn't believe how easy it was. The Olympians are so arrogant. They never dreamed anyone would dare steal from them. The security is horrible. I was halfway across New Jersey before I heard some storms rumbling, and I know they discovered my theft. The scorpion was sitting on my knee now, staring at me with glittering eyes. I tried to keep my voice level, so why didn't you bring the items to Cronus? Luke's smile wavered. I got overconfident. Zeus sent out his sons and daughters to find the stolen bolt. Artemis, Apollo, my father, Hermes. But it was Ares who caught me. I could have beaten him, but I wasn't careful enough. He disarmed me and took the items of power, threatened to return them to Olympus and burn me alive. Then Cronus' voice came to me and told me what to say. I put the idea in Ares' head about a great war between gods. I said all he had to do was hide the items away for a while and watch the others fight. Ares got a wicked gleam in his eyes, and I knew he was hooked. He let me go. I returned to Olympus before anyone noticed my absence. Luke drew his new sword. He ran his thumb down the flat of the blade as if he were hypnotized by its beauty. Afterward, the Lord of the Titans, he punished me with nightmares. I swore not to fail again. Back at Camp Half-Blood, in my dreams, I was told that a second hero would arrive, one who could be tricked into taking the bolt and the helm the rest of the way, from Ares down to Tartarus. You summoned the Hellhound? That night in the forest? We had to make Chiron think the camp was unsafe. So he would start you on a quest. We had to confirm his fears that Hades was after you. So Luke really, really set things up quite nicely. So after Luke leaves, Percy's thinking, how can I get away from this pit scorpion? So he kind of flicks it off and cuts it with his sword, and it's dead. But unfortunately, he is stung by the scorpion, or bitten. I'm not sure what scorpions do. But he did survive, and he's recovering. So, Chiron put his hand on my ankle. You'll have to trust me, Percy. You will live. But first, you must decide your path for the coming year. I cannot tell you the right choice. I got the feeling that he had a very definite opinion, and it was taking all his willpower not to advise me. But you must decide whether to stay at Camp Half-Blood year-round or return to the mortal world for 7th grade and be a summer camper. Think on that. When I get back from Olympus, you must tell me your decision. So Percy, boy, he's got a lot of decisions he needs to make. In the meantime, Annabeth is leaving. She is going to stay with her dad for the year, and she took Percy's advice to reconcile with her dad, so she's going to give him that chance. And then we get to the end of the book here. For the first time at camp, I felt truly alone. I looked out at Long Island Sound and remembered my father's saying, "The sea does not like to be restrained." I made my decision. I wondered if Poseidon were watching, would he approve of my choice? I'll be back next summer, I promised him. I'll survive until then. After all, I am your son. I asked Argus to take me down to cabin 3 so I could pack my bags for home. So he's going to spend the school year with his mom. And that is Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Lightning Thief. And if you like this book, I would strongly recommend reading the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th, and the 5th in this series. So that is all. Thank you very much.